Hey guys, it's Miles here. Today we're gonna make my key lime pie. It's so fantastically delicious, and most importantly, it is so easy to make. So if you've got any like potluck for work, any friends givings, or a Christmas party, this dish right here I'm about to show you will be the showstopper. Guaranteed, unless someone whips out a beef Wellington, which is highly unlikely, unless you've got some chefy friends, you never know. But trust me, do this, spend about 30 minutes on it, and you'll win over all your friends and family and coworkers. So without further ado, let's get started. All right guys, first things first, we've got to make the crust. It's so easy. Let me go over the ingredients. It's graham crackers. We've got some nutmeg. I always prefer these fresh. They're so cool. If you've ever seen the inside of them, they just look really awesome. I'm stupid, I know. We've got some pine nuts. These are optional, but I highly recommend them just because it gives a more luxurious crust to the dish instead of it being like, oh, graham cracker crust. Then we've got 1/4 cup of sugar with a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon and 1 stick of butter, and that's it for the crust. So first things first, step 1 is to melt our butter, and we're just gonna pop it in the microwave. My microwave's got a melt setting. If you wanna put it on the stovetop, that's fine on a very low heat. Just melt it somehow. I mean, you could hold it here for a little while if you would like. It might make it feel special before you, okay, I'll see you in a minute. All right guys, while the butter melts, I just want to remind you, be sure to leave that like on this video and subscribe if you're new here. But most importantly, if you try this key lime pie for yourself, be sure to take photos and tag me on your Instagram. It's the same screen name, MegaMilez, because that's the most excitement I can get from doing these videos, is to see you make it yourself and serving it to your friends and family or your coworkers. To me, that's like, it makes setting up all these lights and stuff worth it. So yeah, do that. It means a lot, and I'll be sure. Oh, it's burning. Okay guys, so we've got our butter melted. Looks delicious. I might just drink it. Yeah. So this is 1 package of graham crackers, okay? So technically, since we've got the pine nuts, we're gonna take one of these out. It's kind of like that children's counting game that we used to do. So we're gonna break these up, put them into the blender. It just helps with the blending process. It doesn't have to be precise. Let's go ahead and slide this out the way so it doesn't get any crumbs. I could even do this. Look at how fancy I'm getting. I taught you something already. And honestly, I might just have a bite. I'll be back. Okay guys, I'm back. That was delicious. Sorry, I haven't really eaten all day yet. And I didn't want to be like chewing in your ear in the video. So we've got our graham crackers in here. We're gonna wait for the pine nuts. And the reason why is pine nuts are really oily. So if you blend them with the crackers, all that oil, which is flavor, is gonna get stuck to the side of the blender. So we're gonna wait. We're gonna use this, pulse this up a little bit, and then we're gonna add in the pine nuts. But we're gonna add in the sugar right now, and we're gonna blend it. Okay, so we're blending graham crackers into a crumb, so we don't need to go crazy. We're not making it like a fine powder. So we're just gonna shake it around a little bit. And when you see barely any cracker is when we're gonna stop. There's still a little cracker there. It's only taking a few seconds. Okay, and then we're gonna add in our pine nuts. Pine nuts in and back on. And I'm just using, your blender is gonna be different than mine, but this is the chop setting. I have 5 levels. This is number 2, so. Don't go crazy. Don't go crazy. All right, that's what we want. And you see almost, I don't know if you could see with the camera. I don't even know if that's in the shot. The oil from the pine nuts almost acted like it brought it together. All right, so from there, what we're gonna do, we're gonna transfer this into a mixing bowl or just a regular bowl. But by the way, mixing bowls are so awesome to have in the kitchen because they're made for it, you know? It's just, I didn't have them for a long time, I'll be honest, and I got some. And I still want to get some with the silicone bottom so they don't slide. Those are fantastic. But back to the dish, get some mixing bowls. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna take our nutmeg, and remember this is optional, but you need a good microplane. And the reason why is if you use like a regular grater, you're gonna get shards. This almost creates like a little powder, like I'll show you right here. See? It's not super fine. It could be finer. Like the ground nutmeg is like powder, but this is so much better. It's got like an amazing aroma. So we're being gentle with this. We're doing a light hint. We're not going crazy. So just a few, I love nutmeg, but just a little dash of it. That's what you want, okay? And then from there, I don't want to waste that. I'm gonna use it later. What we're doing, we're adding the butter in. Hopefully the camera can kind of see it. Just in a little swirl, okay? And then we're gonna get a little spatula and mix it around. And you can actually smell all of those, the cinnamon, the nutmeg. Already smells amazing. So you guys see how it's coming together just like that? It's not gonna be like a pastry dough. It's gonna be crummy, and that's what makes this dough so much fun to work with. Now, the fun begins, okay? So, unlike any other kind of like pie dough or like a pastry, it's not like super hard to work with. It's actually really easy. The reason why is you don't have to worry about the butter softening or coming to room temperature, because with a lot of other doughs, the butter's cold and you have to roll it out really quick, get it in, because if the butter softens, the dough starts to tear and then it just becomes super messy and you can't fit, well, you can kind of fix it. It's just not ideal. So this is like foolproof. The butter's melted, we're good. So what I like to do, this is a drop bottom pan, by the way. So this bottom comes off. I was gonna lift it, but then I was like, dang, I'd have like pie crumbs on the bottom. So what we're gonna do, we just sprinkle it around, okay? And you don't wanna go too crazy on the corners, which I'll explain in a little bit more detail in a minute. But we're just getting some in. Be sure not to use it all. Okay, so then what you do, look at this. You literally just start patting. Yes, patting. Just start patting down and look at how it just creates a crust almost out of thin air. That's so cool. What, you've done this before? Oh, come on. You haven't done it with nutmeg, fresh nutmeg. It's amazing. So patch in some little holes and you can rotate it around, okay? And be sure to press down a little bit more firmly on the corners. And the reason why is that's typically where the dough with this method will build up. And when you cut into the pie, you want that even layer, because if there's a huge chunk of crust on the corner, it kind of looks stupid, but it tastes good, but it's also, it becomes kind of hard and it's kind of difficult to cut. And you can see how we've got our base layer done, okay? And now with what we've got left, we're gonna build up the outside rim. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna start building our walls, okay? You can start thin, work your way around, because you can always add more. And with this, you can take it away too. If you mess up, break it off, start over. You know, you could even start over. You feel like this doesn't look good, just dump it back into the bowl. You'll be good. This isn't like like I said, it's not like the pastry or, you know, like a lard crust. Those things are such a hassle. And I do not pride myself in my baking ability, but this pie, it's fantastic. I will go to any kind of pie contest. Hint, hint. Let's go. Let's go, girl. We're getting this all around, working it around. And one thing too, don't like get in all these awkward positions. Just rotate as you go. It's totally fine. It's actually smarter. All right, so what I'm doing here, this is where it builds up. We're kind of like me on my sides right now. My gym closed down for a few months, so I keep poking my side. I'm like, man, I gotta fix that. I do the same thing to this pie crust. Just poke the side. Say, hey, you're looking a little chubby right there. Gotta fix you. Know what I mean? We're good. Once you've got it all shaped up, you want to do one more pass with your thumb and your index finger like this, just to make sure everything is packed and it's not loose. Because this way you're compressing the wall from the top and the side at the same time. So do that all the way around, just to make sure that everything is formed correctly. And also what this does is, you can see it's pushing any excess down into that mold, so there's not a wavy looking pie at the end. Okay guys, our crust is ready for the oven. We're gonna put it on a baking tray at 350 for 8 minutes. All right guys, so the crust just came out of the oven. We're gonna let it cool here while we prep up our filling. One thing to note really quick is that there's a little tiny crack on the edge of the crust. If that happens to you, don't worry about it. The filling itself actually kind of acts like a glue once it sets in the fridge, so it'll be a non-issue at all. So don't stress yourself. So onto the filling. We've got 2 cans of sweetened condensed milk. We've got 1 bag of key limes, and then the secret ingredient. This is full fat Greek yogurt that's plain. You can either use plain or a vanilla flavor. Both of those are totally fine. But what this does is, most people who dislike key lime pie hate the tartness. They think it's too tart, it makes their mouth pucker, which is true. I experienced it when I went to this restaurant, and it was really funny. It was after I had made my recipe, and the manager or owner or whatever came over and was talking about food, you know, their dishes. Their food was good, but he recommended this key lime pie, and I was curious. I was like, I want to compare it to mine. So he brought it, and I kid you not, it was like me taking one of these and just eating it raw. Not that you cook these, but you know what I mean? Like, just straight up stick a lime in your mouth. And that's exactly, and I was like, holy crap, like, I gotta post this recipe video for everyone that always thought that they hated key lime pie, because they just hate the acidity. So be sure to use a secret ingredient, because it's important. Don't use sour cream. Who does that? Come on, sour cream, really? All right, so the first things first, we're gonna juice the majority of these, actually all of them. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna zest a few before we get going. So I've got a microplane. I'll show you guys 1 or 2 just in case you don't know. All right, so when we're zesting these, just light pressure, but you wanna rotate as you're zesting, because you don't wanna get that white pith into your ramekin, because that tastes bitter. It doesn't have the flavor. So you can pick it up and look, just double check, get a good spot, zest some more. And you want to zest a good amount of these, because what we're going to do, we're going to be putting these into the filling itself, but also using some as garnish at the very end. Okay guys, so I finished zesting 7. You can zest them all if you want, if you're worried about having enough. But what I did, I took out some of the greenest ones, because some of them, when they're pressed together in that bag, they kind of develop brown spots. But so that's about how much I've got. Hopefully you can see that well. And we're not putting all of that into the mix. We're saving a good portion just to garnish at the very end. So from there, what we're gonna do, we're gonna juice every single one of these. One recommendation, press and roll all of your limes. And what that does is it breaks down the fibers on the inside. So when you cut it and you squeeze it, a lot more juice is able to come out. Now, they do have seeds in them. You see, I just cut this one in half. So I'd recommend a strainer. You can do that before or after. I'm gonna do it while we're doing this. You can juice them by hand, but I bought this because I did it the last time by hand and it wasn't very fun. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Okay guys, we've got all the juice from those limes. It's about 1/4 of a cup, it looks like. But one bag is perfect for what we're doing. So what I do, I add that last. So first we're gonna crack open our condensed milk. And then the stuff is like a syrup. You'd be surprised. So we pour these guys in here. Make sure with a little spatula, scrape out all that excess, because we want as much of this as possible to fill up our pie. Okay, so we've got that in there. Now, gonna get our yogurt, our secret ingredient. Okay. Make sure we get as much of that as we can incorporated. All right. And then what we're gonna do, we're gonna take, I'd say about a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of this zest. We're gonna leave about that much for our garnish. And then we're just gonna mix it until it's all incorporated. And you'll see the difference in the color between the yogurt and the condensed milk. Mix until that disappears. All right, and when it's done, it should look something like that. And then, don't forget, the most important part to make it a key lime pie is the juice. All in, just like that. And then, we're gonna mix once more. You can see how it's still liquidy. Mix until all of that juice incorporates. And what you can do too, if you wanna make mixing a little bit culinarily safer, is add it in thirds. But this, it's not like we're making, you know, a pastry cream. We're fine. Just throw it in there and mix it up. All right, that's looking good. And I think we're ready to get our pie filled. Okay guys, this is the exciting part. We're filling our pie. Here we go, I'm so stoked. By the way, seriously guys, if you try one of my recipes that's a dessert, it has to be this one. And you have to take it to whatever party or potluck for work you have, because I guarantee you your boss will promote you almost instantly. Gotta make sure he eats it though, or she. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna fill, and then we're gonna spread, just to make sure that we don't overfill, because that's the last thing we want to have happen in the oven, is for it to overflow and make a mess. Look at that. Oh, I'm so excited. You know you're having fun. Okay, so like food for me used to be stressful because I didn't know. I still don't know a lot, but you get to a point where it gets exciting. And it took me quite a while to get there. But once you start kind of like tinkering with things and making things your own, that's when it becomes really fun. All right, let's spread this. Spread gently, by the way. Just, you know, kind of let it fall into place in a circular motion. Okay, we're still not completely to the edge, so it can take some more. Most likely all of it. I'm gonna push the envelope. This better work out. Otherwise, this end product is not gonna look pretty. All right. Okay, guys, our pie, it's finally ready for the oven. I'm super excited. It looks beautiful. All we're doing, 350 for like 6 minutes, 7 minutes max. And we're gonna pull it out, let it cool a little bit, and then toss it into the fridge. So let me focus and make sure we don't drop this on the way over. Okay guys, our pie has chilled down in the fridge. It looks amazing, it smells amazing, and I can assure you it's gonna taste amazing. We're ready for the finishing touches. We're gonna be making a homemade whipped cream. Don't worry, it's super easy. You don't need a stand mixer, it's just easy for me. You can use a regular hand mixer, no worries. So we need 2 cups of heavy cream, 2 teaspoons of granulated sugar, a ½ teaspoon of vanilla extract. And I'll show you how to do it, but first I wanna make a note about the whipped cream. You can do this pie a couple days in advance, but try to do the finishing touches with the whipped cream as close as you can manage to when you're gonna be serving it. You're gonna have, you know, a day and a half window, but the closer you can get to that, it doesn't mean you gotta lug your mixer up to work for the potluck. Just try to make it close. Don't like make the pie 3 days in advance, dress it up, and then set it in the fridge, because the texture of the whipped cream will change over those days. So just, you know, try to manage that window appropriately. First things first, we take our heavy cream into the mixer. By the way, I was gonna get a glass bowl of these, but they're like $200. And I'm like, gosh, you guys don't need to see it mix that much. I'm like, why is it so expensive? But yeah, so we put the heavy cream in, and then the key here is start off on a slow speed and then slowly go up. There we go. You don't want to go too high when it's thin, because it'll start splashing everywhere, and considering our pie is right next to it, that won't be good. So right now, if you have a stand mixer, I'm actually only on 2. Now I'm gonna move to 4. And what we're looking for when you can start to see where the whisk line is going, where the wire of the whisk is cutting through. And then we're gonna add our sugar and our vanilla extract, but not until it starts to take a form. You can almost start to see them, but we want it a little bit firmer. I know it's hard for you guys to see, but if you're doing this at home, you'll see the lines start to form, and you'll know it's time to add the sugar. All right, the lines are starting to form. I'm gonna add in a little sugar. About half right now, a little bit more, and then the rest. Okay, and then the vanilla, just drizzle it in. Perfect. Now we're gonna let this go for a little bit longer, maybe, you know, another 30 seconds, maybe even turn up the speed just a tad. Now the one thing we don't want to do is make an Italian meringue. We don't need crazy stiff peaks. We want it light and fluffy, which is actually looking really good right now. So you can test it by pulling it out. Pull out your attachment, stick it down in there, twist it around, and you see that it's not falling off. We don't want the really stiff peaks. That's like an Italian meringue. We want it light and fluffy, because it's a lot better, in my opinion. We're not like, you know, burning it with a torch and then serving it molded in some ice cream. Like, what's that dish called? I forget. Baked Alaska. I made one of those before. Okay guys, this is the fun part, just so you can see what it looks like. It's firm, and you can see where the whisk has gone through. So we've got a a piping bag with a tip. We've opened it up. And then we're gonna fill our piping bag. And I am by no means a pro when it comes to pastry and piping and all this stuff, but you know, I can manage a little bit. And then what you do, you kind of force it down, okay? And if you're not an expert like me, because I've done this before, you take, instead of going directly on the pie, watch this. We do a little test run. Nothing wrong with this. So you twist and you're holding, and you try to hold at the top, okay? And then you obviously don't start up there, but you go down at the bottom and then just squeeze as you come up, just like that, and release. Squeeze as you come up and release, okay? But see, I don't want them looking like that. I kind of want them wider. So we're gonna do that. See the difference? See how these look like Mount Everest and this looks like my hill outside in the back? So that's what we want. We want little hills. Sound like Bob Ross over here, okay? See the difference? I would have been making it look like that because I never pipe, you know, I don't really practice that. So, you know, look at this little plastic plate, paper plate. That, you know, additional 10 seconds is gonna make the world of difference. Okay guys, this is the moment of truth. No turning back now. Oh God, that one scared me. Just take your time. No one's watching. No one's rushing you. And it doesn't have to be perfect. But just go around. Keep the shape the same. Okay? And then you'll see when you start to run out up here, just give it a little twist and continue. It's like reloading. All the way around. Now when you get here, you kind of want to judge. You don't want like, oh gosh, there's a little gap and put a little tiny piece of whipped cream. You want to kind of look, okay, I've got, you know, about 3 more spaces. So just judge it. So everything looks the same. See? Looks pretty decent, I'd say. I feel like my piping skills are, you know, nearly professional now. Totally joking. Okay, so the final step. And by the way, if you want more whipped cream, you can feel free to just like draw zigzags across this, because technically, if I wasn't making this video, I would totally do that. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe I taught you a few things. I most importantly hope you try this. If you do, be sure to tag me on your Instagram with some photos of the pie and let me know why you made it, because that in itself means so much to me. My screen name is the same, MegaMilez with a Z, and I look forward to hearing from you there. But also here, comment and let me know what dish you'd love to see me make next. Who knows? I might pick yours. And then lastly, if you're new here, subscribe if you haven't already. It means a lot as well. And either way, I will see you in the next one.